Welcome back, everybody. The year's almost over. It's sunny outside, which is odd because it's very cold, but also nice and sunny today. So I thought I would use the lighting to take some time and make a video for you guys. So we got 12 books of 2025 is what I'm gonna call this probably, which sounds weird because it's not even 2025 yet. So what is this bitch talking about? You might ask yourself. I have compiled a stack of 12 books that I have had on my reading list for a while, or bought this year, or I don't know, that I definitely want to get around to next year. The thing is, I thought about doing like a whole TBR for like 2025 the way I did I think for 2024. However, I also know I'm very bad with sticking to big amount of books like that. Like, I did this shelf once upon a time as like my TBR shelf kind of, and I didn't read half of those books on there. Like, I haven't been reading as much anyway, but that's a different longer story for the reading wrap up. However, I did go for books that are not on the shelf but like other shelves, so I thought maybe I'll go with like one book a month roughly, having 12 books that I should get around to, and then everything else we'll just see how it goes. So let's start. There's no particular order to this. I just picked them up from like random shelves and stacks, and yeah, so this order does not make sense. We start off with That Peck and Boy, which I have bought this year, and I wanted to read it initially the second I bought it. But then life got in the way, and I read Open Water before, and I was looking for like similar-ish stuff, and then I stumbled across this while I was out book shopping, and so I bought it, and I haven't gotten around to it, but I think this will be one of the first reads probably of 2025. It's been on the list. Literally, it was laying like around here, and I was like, maybe now, but every time I was choosing a new book, kind of, like most times, it was a bit of a, I want to take my sweet time with this and like soak it all in and not just read to, you know, like get out of reality a little bit. So it was a bit like, I want to be in the right mind to read it and soak it all in, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is definitely on top of the list, and I'm very excited to read this. Then the next book is Robert Harris' Fatherland, which I bought last year in London, so it's been well over a year now. And I don't know if, I think I've told the story probably 25 times, God knows. If you're new to the channel, be happy you get the story. If not, congrats, it's probably the millionth time you will hear it. I bought this while I was waiting to see a friend, and I was like very early and in the area, and so what else do you do if you like books? Then go book shopping, you know, to like spend some time. And I found this, and I feel like it's very funny how this is like World War II related to an extent, because it's like a fictional story of like what could have happened if Hitler didn't die, and like he would have won the war, and like what could have happened. And I feel like this is a tad bit funny to find this as a German outside of Germany, just like very randomly. So this is that. Honestly, it's a bit of a chunky one, like not super chunky. I think like 400 or 500, yeah, 450, 470 pages, and you know my 250, 350 rule. So we'll see when I get around to this, but I think as someone who's been through the history 25 times back and forth every year in school, literally like every single year, I think this will be interesting to like see another, of course not real point of view, but like kind of like a hypothetical what could have been point of view. So this is also on the list. Also because it's been here well over a year, which honestly I have books that I have had for longer that I haven't read yet. We don't talk about that. That's a different story. TBR, like my whole physical TBR, as in all the books I own that I have not read, is a whole different story. Honestly, if I would go by how much I read this year roughly, and then the amount of books I have without buying any new ones, I would be good for a bit. A good long while actually. So it is what it is. Let's not talk about it. Too many books. But I feel like book people get it. Reading books and buying books are like two different hobbies. Like, of course they go together to an extent, but I do like buying books. I like reading books, of course, but you know, buying also is fun. So this is how we accumulate these many books. Anyway, moving on to book number 3, which is Concrete Rose. I bought this, I think secondhand, if I'm not wrong, and I don't know, I've seen this somewhere, I don't remember where, and I think it also went like through Book Talk at some point, and I saw it and I was kind of like, I don't know what that is about, kind of like passed me by, and then I stumbled across it again and I was like, I'm just gonna get this now. I don't know what I paid for it actually, it's also a bit dusty, let's not talk about that either. I actually don't know when specifically I bought this and where. Might have bought it online, I don't know, but it was secondhand definitely, I do remember that. I don't know what I paid, but I was like, if I can get a little bit of a discount, I might get a little bit of a discount, because I would have bought this probably at some point anyway. So I took a chance and went for it, and since then it's been here as well on my reading list, but I just haven't got around to it. I feel like it's a bit similar to this, where I want to get the full story and have like time to soak it in, and it's not like a cute little romancy book where you just like read it and it's like, oh, everybody's so cute, like, oh, they're so in love, and then you're like, finish, you know, that kind of stuff. Honestly, I think there's a lot of books here where it's kind of like I want to have the time and the mindset to soak it all in, which brings us to, this is where it ends, which I believe is about a school shooting, and kind of, I think there's multiple POVs in there, like throughout the time frame of the shooting, where it's kind of like they're in such different places and such different circumstances kind of, but they are in the shooting after all, you know, and like what they think and what they feel. And this is also something, I mean, this is a heavy load to just like read that and know that, and so I really want to take my time with this as well, which is, I think, part of the reason with all of these books why I have like postponed reading them so many times, because sometimes I do feel like I want to read them, but I just know like my calendar is packed to the brim. I will not have the time to like really indulge and let that sink in, and you know, that kind of stuff. And so this is also on the list still. I think it's like, yeah, 320 pages. I thought it was honestly 400, but apparently it's not. So there we go. But this is also one of those. And then we have The Vanishing Half, which has been on my list for the longest time, I have to admit. And I remember very vividly Jack Ben Edwards talking about this ages ago, and I was like, ooh, I should read that, and then I got it, and then I didn't read it. Yeah, so it's on the list. Honestly, it was on my TBR for this year. It was somewhere up there in the shelf, the good old TBR shelf, but yeah, didn't get around to it. But honestly, I don't know if I'm the only one. I don't think I am the only one. I feel like 2024 was just like one big reading slump for everyone. Like, I don't know one person that also likes to read that was like, oh, that was such a good reading year, be it like friends, people I know personally, or like also I feel like a lot of like booktubers or like book talk people, everybody was kind of like, I'm in a reading slump, I don't know what to do. And I feel like it was the same experience for me, kind of. And so that is also part of the reason I have so many books left over from my initial TBR for the year, and then just like random books, of course, and why I pushed back on a lot of books to be like, I want to give them the time they deserve. So that is that. And then I think we might have reached halftime. No, actually not. We're one off. Anyway, moving on. Next one. This is a shame. I actually have not read this yet. I'm a little bit embarrassed, which is also the reason I want to put this in here. Sally Rooney's Normal People. I haven't read this. It's been on my list, like all of these books. I feel like I'm the last person in, not even on this planet, in the universe, to read this. This is also going to be my first Sally Rooney book that I read, so I'm late to the trend. But it's just like the first initial wave, and when it went through like book talk and everybody was reading it, and I feel like I've heard so much about it and I've seen it everywhere at that time that there wasn't really an attraction to read it, because I was like, I kind of know it anyway, you know. But also I'm a forgetful person, so I don't remember shit about what they said. And also I feel like, of course, it's a different experience reading it yourself and not just having other people talk about it. And so I got this at some point. I don't even know why this is the first and only, I think, honestly, looking at all my bookshelves, I think this is the first and only Sally Rooney book I own. So I think I went with, there's so many people who love her and her books, and then there's a good handful of people that is like, I hate her writing style, whatever. And I think I was kind of like thinking, I'm gonna get one of the popular ones and I'm gonna read it and see if I like it, and then I get the next one, you know, and not just like buy all of them because everybody on like TikTok or whatever is kind of like, oh, I love this so much. And so I went for this one. I don't know why specifically this one, probably the only one available at that time, and it's been here ever since. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, moving on. We have Queenie, which I remember pretty vividly that way back this was like a thing and people talked about it, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, I've read it, like, you know. And then I fully forgot about it, and then I stumbled across it again sometime this year. I think, wait, I have to redo my stack. I think in the same time I like read Open Water and then bought this and then this, and I stumbled across it again. I was like, might as well now get it, and so I did, and it's been on a stack ever since, I have to say. So this is very much on the list. I feel like everyone has read this as well. I don't know why, but like I remember, like I said, way back in the day that was such a thing, and I feel like everyone read it kind of, and then it was forgotten about, or at least it wasn't on my radar whatsoever, and then here we are again. So very much still on the list, very much still want to read that. And then we have Mixtape, and this is a funny thing because I got, which is up here actually, okay, let me get that, Love is a Mixtape, or I saw that like Love is a Mixtape is a book, and I think it might have been recommended by Harry Styles. Don't take my word for it, I'm not 100% sure. But I saw this and I was on the lookout for this one, and I remember I looked like online and I just put in like, I don't know if I put in Love as a Mixtape or just like Mixtape because I didn't remember the full title, something like that, and this did not pop up, but this did pop. I think I even put in Love as a Mixtape, but this still popped up and this didn't, god knows why. And I was kind of like, is that the one, just a different cover? And so I was like a little bit confused, and then I looked at like the author and I was like, that's a different person, so what's going on? And I got this because I like music and everything, and it says, you never forget the one that got away, and I feel like that is deeply relatable to a lot of people. And also I love music, so gotta love a good mixtape, and so I just got this anyway, and since then it's been on a stack, I have to admit. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Honestly, it says right here, they exchange songs, some old, some new, all that kind of stuff, and that in a way reminds me of this still. Because I mean, this is kind of like a memoir thing where he talks about his late wife, but they met, like he tells like their story, how they met and all that kind of stuff, and they bonded a lot through music and mixtape and made a lot of mixtapes together as well. So it's kind of like, and now he has like this big collection of like her mixtapes, his mixtapes, and then the ones from their time together and the ones they made together, and you know, that kind of stuff. And here they exchange like mixtapes and songs, so it's kind of like, but I feel like it's part of the mixtape, you know, like you can't really get around that part. So yeah, but I feel like that's gonna be a very sweet book. I hope so, at least. I really do hope so. But yeah, very much still on the list. I hope it's gonna, honestly, if I like it half as much as I like this one, it's gonna be great, because I really did love this one. So we should be fine. Also, I just now noticed there's like a lot of red going on in the books. Maybe a theme, we'll see. Then this is funny actually. Then we have The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, which I feel like does not match the rest of the books really, because it's like sports romance and everything, and it's a big chunky one, a very big chunky one. The thing is, I was about to say I was into sports romance once upon a time, which is a lie, because that was never like a really clear thing. Like I never minded, but I didn't buy books just for the like sole purpose of like being sports romance. That did not happen. However, I didn't mind, and I'm sure there's good sports romance in there. Some, not all of them. And I don't know what book it was. I just looked in the shelf because there was chance that whatever inspired this was in there, but I think it's not. Honestly, I don't remember. I've read a book where part of the thing, but not the main part whatsoever, was that one of them, the guy played sports, but it wasn't this like, ooh, he's like the cool like football guy, like whatever. It was just like a random thing. It was kind of like, oh, he had practice, you know, like it wasn't that big of a deal. But I kind of liked it, and I was kind of like intrigued. I was like, maybe if we knew a little bit more about like his sports and what he's doing. And so I went for sports romance, and I like googled and went through Book Talk and everything to find something, and this popped up a lot. I don't mind American football, so I got it. That's the story. There we are. But yeah, it's honestly, I think I will like this. Oh my god, I started the audiobook once upon a time, and the person that read it, I don't like their voice, and I feel like that's so important for like an audiobook, to like the way they talk and read it. And in this case I didn't, but I'm very picky with that kind of stuff, so you know, it is what it is. So that didn't work, because I was like, maybe if I get into it by the audiobook, I'll just like, you know, go over to the physical book at some point and just like finish it that way. I didn't. Might have also been because I like listened to it to like fall asleep, and so I just like fell asleep. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, it's a chunky one, so I've been pushing it back because, you know, I'm a little scaredy cat when it comes to big books like that. And I also didn't have the time. Let's be real. This is not even like a, ooh, this is so important, I need to soak it all in. It's just a thing of like, I don't have the time to read this. And it's too, honestly, I mean, it's not too big, but it's like a bit chunky to just like carry around. Like, this is not a book you just have in your purse, you know, at least not for me. And so I never got around to it. It's been literally standing right there. No chance. Like, I've looked at it a couple million times. I was like, maybe that's the next one. And then always, like, every single time it was time to choose a new book, I was like, no. So this is very much still on the list. Also, I'm hoping this is going to be like a bit refreshing for, you know, kind of like all the other stories, to just be like, ooh, sports romance, like a big beefy guy, and they fall in love, and that's that. And then the last three is kind of like a pack, but this is the last three to make a 12, which is Taylor Jenkins Reid books. 3 of them to be exact. Probably the most famous ones. So we have Daisy Jones and the Six. Love the cover, by the way, still. Malibu Rising, and then The Seven Husbands of Evelyn. Excuse me? The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. The thing is, these books don't belong to me. All 3 of those belong to my best friend. And Once Upon a Time, and I feel like Once Upon a Time is the right term in that situation. We talked about when all of this was very trendy. We talked about it and I was like, I'm thinking about like starting to read her books, and I don't really know which one to start with because there's multiple that people really loved and I don't want to get all of them at the same time, whatever. And she was like, oh, I have like those, like you could just like read mine. And I was like, oh, okay, that's nice and convenient because like I don't have to buy them, and if I really would love them I could still get a physical copy later on. And so she was kind of like, yeah, just take them home, like have it, you know, like not in a way of like giving them to me forever, but like we don't live in the same city anymore, as you probably know. And so she was kind of like, yeah, just take them, read them whenever, I don't know. And we had multiple conversations where I was like, I feel so bad because I had them for so long, like literally well over a year, maybe 2. Very long, like very long. And oh, that is, excuse me. We had multiple conversations about this where we talked about how I've had them for so long. Like I mentioned them, I'm like, I feel so bad I haven't read them and they still like collect dust at my place and whatever. And she's like, oh, I actually forgot I gave them to you. And I'm like, girl, I want to give them back to you. I really do. I just never had the time to read them. And so this is the main reason. Like I want to read them anyway, but the main reason I want to get to them in 2025, like for sure, is because they don't belong to me and I want to give them back finally. Number 1, to, you know, 3 books less on a way too packed like bookshelf is 3 books less, and we love that. And also I feel like she just deserves to get them back. Probably she will see this video and be like, oh true, those are my books. So bestie, you will get them back, I promise. It's just gonna take a while, even longer than it has been. So those are my final 3. Maybe the first 3 I'll read, we'll see how it goes. I'm not promising anything, but yeah, that is my 12 books of 2025. Of course there's hopefully going to be more books I'll read. I'm very much hoping for a better reading year in 2025 than 2024 was for me. But honestly, I also don't want to get like obsessed with it because I did have a pretty good year 2023, and so I was like very much like, oh, like I want to do more than 2023, and I'm gonna just like prep it beforehand and think about like which books to read. And so the TBR shelf happened and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't even read as many books as 2023. So it's not even like a thing of I did 2023, just didn't add on to it. I did like half of 2023, if even. Actually I don't have the right number in my mind right now, but it's definitely not a lot of books. Definitely not past 20, maybe 15, I don't know. So not a lot. And so I don't want to get obsessed with like reading a lot of books and like kind of like having to read a lot of books. But I'm hopeful I will be more in the mood and find more time to indulge a little more, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was that, everybody. A big stack. Thank you so much for watching. Maybe you can share, I mean, if you have thought about this. I know there's people that like very randomly just read, and there's people who have like a whole list of like, I want to read this and then this and then this. So if you want, you can share your 2025 potential reads, or if there's like something that has been on your shelf for a long time, you can share that in the comments if you want. But yeah, thank you guys for watching.